Good morning. I would like to call this July 19th meeting of the Planning and Advisory Commission to order. If you'll please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And I would like to remind those in the audience and those watching on television that this is the first reading of any rezoning request brought before us today. We will hear a reading of the staff report and ask the applicant to provide a brief overview of the request. We will then give the opportunity for anyone in the audience to speak for or against that request. The commissioners will have any needed discussion and they will render a decision. And then the findings will go back to the Planning and Advisory Commission, and then the decision will be sent to City Council, or a recommendation will be sent to City Council, who will hear the request 2 more times before rendering a final decision. We do not have any minutes to bring forward.
Actually, sorry, I haven't updated the agenda, but we do have minutes
Oh,
from the
okay.
last one.
Okay. Were they emailed out?
They are
Oh, they
June-
were sent out.
June the
That's right. They
7th.
were on the SharePoint. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
they were sent out last night.
I'm so used to my little paper. So, Commissioners, the minutes were posted to SharePoint, I guess, last night. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to take a look at those yet. Is everybody okay with them? Were there any corrections or additions? If not, we'll accept as submitted. Okay, we'll accept as submitted then. Thank you so much. Okay, so this will bring us to our first case, which is REZN-07-17-1346. And this is a request to amend the zoning atlas of the Columbus Consolidated Government. Robert W. Flowers of Columbus, Georgia, has submitted an application for 3716 Gentian Boulevard. This is parcel number 069-024-002. The current zoning is NC, which is neighborhood commercial, and the proposed zoning is GC, general commercial. The property is located in Council District 5, Baker. Mr. Harrod, if you will give us the staff report.
Thank you. Applicant is Robert W. Flowers. The owner is Robert W. Flowers. Location is 3716 Gentian Boulevard. Acreage is 3.37 acres. Current zoning classification is neighborhood commercial. Proposed zoning classification is general commercial. Current use of property is non-conforming shopping center. Proposed use is shopping center. General land use is consistent and is in planning area E. And current land use designation is general commercial. Future land use designation is general commercial. It is compatible with existing land uses. There are no environmental impacts. All city services are provided. Traffic impact should stay the same, and the road was designed to meet the traffic at the time that the shopping center was built. There are no school impacts. Required buffers, the site shall include a Category C buffer along all property lines bounded by the SFR2 and RMF2 zoning district. The 3 options are under Category C. DRI and Fort Benning are not applicable, and there were 39 property owners, and we received 0 phone calls or emails. Do you have any questions?
Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Harrod? All right, thank you. Well, if the applicant will please come forward, and if you will do us a favor and state your name and address. That mic is on, but if he needs to, yeah. If you'll just state your name and address for us and give us a brief overview.
All right, I'm Robert Flowers, and my business address is 113 Bascom Court, Suite A, Columbus. And actually, it was my father and Odie Gillum's father that owned the center. It was a Winn-Dixie initially, and the center is roughly 40,000 square feet. And it's my understanding that when the UDO was adopted, I guess some overlay, it became neighborhood commercial. So it's a non-conforming building as is, and we're just trying to change it back to general commercial because it's the building is currently non-conforming,
Right.
and that's all we want to do.
Get it conforming. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant? This is pretty cut and dry, I think. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak against this request? If so, please come forward. And I see no one. Anyone who would like to speak in favor of the request? And I see no one in that case. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Commissioners, if there's no further discussion, do I hear a motion? All right, Mr. Brannon?
In the case of REZN 07-17-1346, location 3716 Gentian Boulevard, current zoning classification, neighborhood commercial, proposed zoning classification, general commercial. Purpose of this rezoning is to bring it into compliance. Since it is consistent with the current land use and the future land use, I move that we approve this rezoning request.
And Mr. Kenner has a second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. And it is unanimous. So we will submit that as a recommendation for approval. Thank you for that. That brings us to our next case, which is REZN-07-17-1352. This is a request to amend the zoning atlas of the Columbus Consolidated Government. Jimmy Lewis and Nellie Smith of Columbus, Georgia, have submitted an application for 5030, 5036 Farley Drive, and 205 North Star Drive. These are parcels 094-026-011 and parcel number 094-026-010, and lastly, parcel number 094-026-012. The current zoning is NC, which is neighborhood commercial, and the proposed zoning is SFR2, which is single-family residential 2. The property is located in Council District 4, Pew. So, Mr. Harrop, the staff report, please.
Thank you. Applicant is Columbus Planning Department. Owner is Jimmy Lewis and Neil Smith. Location is 5030 and 5036 Farley Drive and 205 North Star Drive. Acreage is 2.24 acres. Current zone classification is neighborhood commercial. Proposed zoning classification is single-family residential 2. Current use of the property is single-family residential. Proposed use is single-family residential. General land use, it is consistent. It's in planning area E. Current land use designation is single-family. Land use, future land use is single-family. It is compatible with existing land uses. There are no environmental impacts. All city services are provided. Traffic impacts should stay the same. There's no traffic engineering concerns or concerns from the school. The site shall include a Category A buffer along all property lines bounded by GC zoning districts. There were 82 property owners, and we received 0 phone calls in complaint or approval for.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, any questions on the staff report?
So one quick question. Looking at the maps here that you guys presented to us, I'm just trying to make sure I'm clear on those. The first map here shows an expanded area versus the second map.
We had another applicant that was part of it, but they wanted to pull out.
Okay.
And so that's why when we readjusted the maps to show the actual parcels that were going to be part of it. And the GC, I believe that was NC, so that's my little. So anything that's for buffers, anything that's around the neighborhood commercial instead of the GC, it'll be a Category A.
So the second and third map are the correct maps right now that we should be looking at?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Mr. Kenner.
Just for information, why is this neighborhood commercial now?
That is an excellent question. Will Johnson, Planning Department, just a little background why the Planning Department is the applicant here. As Mr. Harrop stated, there were originally 3 property owners who own these 5 lots, one of them being Trent Chester. Mr. Chester owns, y'all are very familiar with Chester's Barbecue, which is the only NC not in the red boundary. Well, upon further review, he decided that, which is understandable, if Chester's ever expands, he doesn't want to be blocked in by single family that he probably would have a hard time getting back. So originally this started off as 5 parcels, now we're down to 3. That was last Friday, so that's probably why Kevin,
Gotcha.
at 4 o'clock last Friday, so that's probably why we haven't had the maps updated. We do not know. That's an excellent question. Mr. Lewis's daughter came to us and brought it to our attention. We had no idea. They had no idea. The Lewises had lived there for 30 years. Really since '08, since the Great Recession and the housing market collapse, we have found that underwriters for mortgage companies are scrutinizing every little thing, and we have had more problems with zoning that we did not know was out there, where somebody's owned a house, bought it, got a mortgage 30, 40 years ago, nobody cared about zoning. Now, it's a problem. So that's how we end up usually finding out about these areas.
Mr. Kinner.
There was some discussion, I don't know, this is Mr. Hare or Mr. Johnson, there was some discussion about the buffer. I got confused about that. Could you just run that by me again, please?
If it's in the staff report, it says GC, just change the GC to NC. If it's bound, because there is no GC around it. So if it's bounded by, if it has NC that's close to it, then it's a Category A buffer that they would be required to have in place.
It won't affect lots 10 and 11. I don't have an arrow here, but I'm pretty sure lot 12 is vacant. So if somebody wanted to build a home on it, they would have to meet that level A buffer. Most likely, they'd probably put up a fence anyway, so it'd be a moot point.
Do we have the map that you can put up on the screen, or is that, I don't know if that's necessary, but I feel like we're talking about something that nobody else can see.
You got the staff report.
She's got one.
Yes, ma'am. Come on up. Are y'all done with me?
I
or
think,
first?
any other questions for Mr. Johnson? Mr. Greenblatt?
In looking at this map, and I'm just going to ask a question, parcel 12 looks to be landlocked.
It is, but it's an existing lot of record.
It's the same.
Okay, so if they build a house, how would they get in and out of the house?
The driveway's already there.
And, I mean, is there an easement through the other piece of property?
There would, it's existing. I'm not sure if there is a legal documented easement.
Well, there would have to be an easement by necessity, because you can't landlock a property. You have to give them
That's what I was-
access. And
But it does have its own,
where's the current driveway?
it is, I think, coming through lot 9.
Oh, wow.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And it might be 13 as well. I think 13's vacant as well.
All right,
Mr. Brandon.
I'll be that guy to ask one more question. Not of this property, though. Just generically, though, when you get things like this, are we providing that as a service to these residents that find the kind of the oddball things, or are we?
Not necessarily, but because this was 5 parcels and 3 separate property owners, we took it on. We have a lot of them that come in here. We don't charge them,
Right.
Right, okay.
but when it's a single owner, they do it by themselves. But we've done this in
We had one in Lake Bottom, I remember.
Layfield Road, Midtown, Casita Road, where
You're finding these things.
we have found these come along and
Like when Midtown did the whole in mass, where
Right.
they took care
yeah,
of
I
a
think
bunch
we
of
did
properties.
75 lots.
Well, that was more the question. I mean, obviously taking it up as a city or an individual, but for those sorts of things, you're doing it for free, though. You're not charging.
Oh, yeah,
them
yeah,
the-
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's all I was concerned.
So what we're seeing on the screen now is what they see at home.
Right.
So just to be accurate here, lots 9 and 8 are not in the proposal today.
That's right. They
We're
are
only
out.
considering 10, 11, and 12.
That's right.
Thank you for that clarification. Yeah.
Okay, now
Mr. Kinner,
could you get back to this
buffer?
buffer situation, just to clarify that, please?
So as you're looking at lots 9 and 8, will remain neighborhood commercial. So it'll be a Category A buffer for 10 and 12 if they were to, if somebody was to build on 12, it would have to have a Category A buffer.
Just happened.
Thank you.
All right. I'm not sure what just happened to our map there, but it looks like someone scribbled on it.
It's on.
Will, are you drawing pictures up
I
there?
don't know what I'm doing. There we go.
There we go, okay.
Giving us a smiley face or something.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Johnson at this time? So you are the applicant, so I don't,
Yes.
yeah, that was in the weed. Okay, is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak against this proposal? Against it? If you'll please come forward. And if you will be sure to state your name and address in the microphone, and then you can give us your overview.
Good morning, council. I'm Sharon Norfleet. I'm the owner of Lot 18.
Okay.
And my concerns are, for one thing, I did get a tax bill where my taxes went up, almost doubled, before receiving this letter. And that's one thing I'm concerned about. And number two, like I said, I'm familiar with one of the owners, the young owner now of Chester Barkley, who's a tad bit arrogant. And what the problem that I've had with my property, I've owned the property for over 33 years. And my concern is that he has driven or created some type of driveway, access way, road. If you look at, let's see, Lot A, where he built a little roadway there. He cleared the lot, he built a little roadway. And what has severely impacted me, because when he cleared that area, it gave access to my property. I've owned it for 33 years. The 13th of June, someone drove through that property, climbed my 8-foot fence, broke into my house, and stole $4,000 worth of property from my house. I'm really concerned about that because of the theft. Like I said, I've only had 2 break-ins in the 33 years, and it was all after he created that access for the individuals to come in. And we also have another neighbor that they said that people will come into that area and they're using drugs and things of that nature. I'm very upset about him asking for that to be commercial, because my concern is with him now clearing it out, he's created a road where people can, undetected, come in our backyards and break into our homes. What is his plan about, is he building a complex or a parking lot, which puts my property vulnerable to theft? I'm having a problem now getting insurance because of these 2 recent break-ins. And I'm very concerned about that. And I am concerned about the fact that when he did drive created that roadway, it seems like he has taken some of our property. And I was told, what my neighbor said, that his concern, the one that's in lot right beside me, 5035, he's also concerned. He said that this young man has just come in. He said, well, in the past, my grandfather had the property. Okay, be as it may. But I bought this property in '83. And I was told by my realtor that part of that roadway that he created was part of my property.
So that's your question.
The way you know whether or not that is part of your property is by having a survey done.
Okay.
So that would be my first bit of advice to you, is you not to take anybody's word for it, but to actually have a survey done so you know legally what your boundary of your property is. You may be surprised. That may actually belong to him. I don't know. So that would be your first step in that regard. Your property taxes, we have nothing to do with that here. So that'll be an issue you'll need to take up with the tax commissioner's office. Mr. Reese, I guess.
Yes, I just had a few questions for you. First of all, I'm sorry that your house got broken into. You know, that's a hard feeling for someone to
Yes.
to bear to not even be comfortable in your own home and have to worry about, you know, individuals coming in that are unwelcome. So I am definitely sorry to hear that. And Chairwoman just gave you some solid advice, and it's not that we don't want to help you, it's that we are incapable of providing certain assistance because we're here to review a zoning application. Now, in regards to that driveway, is it running between lots 7 and 19 on the map?
Yes,
So he's, and as you see, lot 8 is landlocked anyway, so there was no, he couldn't have had a drive. Did lot 8 already have a driveway in place?
lot 8, which one?
The one that you say he just cleared, number 8.
It's got the letter A beside it.
Right. That's where the driveway starts on North Star, right
So
beside
before
the
to that
store.
driveway, prior to that, there was no driveway to that property?
No,
Okay, so he made a driveway too,
This-
and he owns lots 7 and 8, correct?
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
a challenge here is going to be, he has a right to have access to his property. That's going to be a challenge, and unfortunate, it may have opened up the back end of your property, but you stated you do have a fence up, right?
had a fence, and what they did, they drove, he has a little, a chain.
Yes, ma'am.
And what they did, they just unloosened the chain and went right back down that driveway into our property, over 8-foot fence, climbed over it and broke into the kitchen.
Yes, ma'am. Now, in addition to the survey, I would, hopefully, you're considering a good security system so that you're protected, because we do want you to be protected. But what we're here today considering is lot 10, 11, and 12, and making those residential areas, which is actually favorable to you, because if those remain homes, then you have people living there like you that is going to be able to watch out for the neighborhood and keep things on the outlook. If it remains the way it is now, someone could potentially come in and put a business there, and you don't want that.
Okay.
You want that to remain a home. So I want you to understand what we're doing today. What we're
Okay,
doing
so
is
they're
not
not gonna
anything
put
that's going to hurt you. No, ma'am.
This is
They're
for-
not gonna put an apartment
well,
complex
No, it's
or
single,
anything.
Now, 9 and 8 are already labeled neighborhood commercial. We're not changing those. So whatever neighborhood commercial allows, and you can speak with the zoning department, that capability still exists for that location. But 10, 11, and 12, in which 12 is right behind your property, we're proposing today to change that to residential, in which you'll be absolutely sure that there will be nothing there but homes.
Okay, so it's
Okay.
not gonna be a apartment.
No, ma'am, we're not changing that to, no. If we change that today, unless it's changed again, you shouldn't see an apartment complex on 10, 11, or 12.
Okay,
I just want you to be clear about that. So what we're doing today is not going to hurt you,
okay.
okay?
But that's why I'm here.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Well,
I
that's-
understand. I want you to be clear on that.
Okay.
thank
Yes,
you
ma'am.
for that. That's a good summary of that to help her understand that
Okay.
it's,
All right then.
I don't have it on me.
okay. Okay.
I do have a
Mr.
question,
Brannon.
though. So we're talking of the 10 and 11 are owned by the Smiths and the Lewises, but the parcel 12 is owned by Mr. Chester, and we don't have him on this report. Has he signed off on doing this change on 12?
Do you have the staff report?
Because 12 affects, 12 affects me too.
11, 10, and 12 are owned by Jimmy Lewis and Neil Smith. 7, 8, and 9 are owned by Chester.
right, so,
094026-012, according to the new GIS, is owned by Trenton M. Chester.
Yep. You're talking about.
hey,
Lot 12 is that land, that landlocked piece of lot that's right behind my parents' house. I'm here for Jimmy Lewis on the board.
well, you'll need to state your name and address, please, so we have on record.
I'll come ask him in a second.
Starla Lewis, Desha, and I'm here representing my father for 5036 Fardy Drive, Columbus, Georgia, 31907. But Lot 12 is the vacant lot that Trent Chester cleared off that they
Right.
had concerns about. So we're just here for Lot 10 and 11, basically, like Mr. Johnson stated, you know, if anything happens to our parents, we wouldn't be able to sell the house because it's zoned commercial. So that's what we were trying to get squared away today.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. We have no problem with
We don't
that.
have a problem with the zoning request. I think, just for clarity for you guys, as Mr. Reese was saying, this is to make it residential.
Right.
So it is not commercial.
Absolutely.
But now we just need to get some clarification on ownership.
Okay, well, I'm gonna leave it to Starla then, if she knows for a fact that's Trent's, and also you just verified it.
Yeah, it's on GIS.
Um, Do we have computer capabilities up here? No?
Not to pull it from.
That's the name of the subdivision.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the way the city calls it. Confusing, I know.
And I think what these folks are concerned about is the fact those are staying neighborhood commercial, which
Right.
he
And I have
pulled
no-
out, there's nothing, I mean,
And I have no problem with fixing it for them, but I have a problem that we're not, Mr. Chester's not being represented here today, and we're just forcing a zoning change on his
no,
property.
no.
No.
It's an oversight. 12 is no longer, 12, it's a 10 and 11.
It's just 10 and 11?
10 and 11.
Okay,
So it's just 10 and 11.
Could we get any more confusing?
so we need to strike that from the staff report.
Well, and when he called at 4 o'clock Friday and said, I'm out, and we haven't had a chance to update anything or do anything else, so
Well, a nice X on it would be good.
thanks for clarifying that. It is 10 and 11.
So it really isn't 3, it's 2.
It's 2 now.
Holy Toledo. Okay.
Question, because I think, Mr. Reese, I think we need to go back and
Yeah.
evaluate.
Yes,
this.
yes.
Your wonderful explanation just went right out the window, dear.
We gotta clear some things up now.
Because Lot 12 will still continue the current zoning.
It will
Right.
remain the same.
And that backs up to
Their property.
number 18.
Number 18, yes.
Which is the problem we've
Yes.
got. So I think we need to
Okay.
clarify that your statement
Yes.
is not going to be accurate.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, ma'am, if you'll come back up here, we do need to explain that in light of new information that's been presented in the complication of the last-minute changes that was presented to the engineering department, the lots that are up for consideration today is Lot 10 and Lot 11. You see that on the map?
Okay.
Neither one of those borders your property
Yeah.
directly, which is Lot 18. However, it's still a good thing that in your neighborhood, those are being changed to residential, because it means that they will remain homes, as long as they're never changed. Now, your concern is with Lot 12. Which-
12 and, I'm
12
12 and 8.
12 and 8 are your concerns,
border
and
on my
we're not
property.
addressing those today.
Okay.
What we address is when people come to us and say, hey, I want to change my zoning. They have said they do not want to change what they have in place. So to address your issues, I would still go back to what Madam Chair recommended, which is to get a survey to make sure that the new road is not on your property. And if the new road is not on your property, it's going to be very limited things that you can actually do, because people have the flexibility to operate on their property within the bounds of the law. I would certainly recommend, again, a security system to make sure that you're safe, because your safety matters.
Yes.
And we want you to be safe in your home. So I know you prior to it, you came here today because you were opposed to the changes, because it sounded like we needed to clarify what was going on. So what we are officially considering today for changing in zoning is Lot 10 and Lot 11. And neither one of those border your property, so what you have concern with, we're not addressing
Yeah,
at
I
this
just
point.
wanted to make sure whether he was trying to put an apartment complex, which would have me more vulnerable to.
Well, right now
break-ins and
is
things of that nature.
is labeled neighborhood commercial. And again, I would recommend that you speak with the engineering staff to see what all, right now legally, he has the right to do in that space, because there are some things he can do. And so you need to know what he can do by law. And so considering the fact we're not addressing that today, I would feel more comfortable if you had that conversation with them, off the record and in their office, okay?
Like the engineering?
Yes, ma'am, you can speak with them, they're here today, the planning, I'm sorry,
This
planning.
gentleman right
This
here?
gentleman here and this
Okay.
gentleman right here. Afterwards, they'll be more than happy to share with you what all he can do within the neighborhood commercial zoning area.
Thank you much.
Yes, ma'am, have a great day. Thank you so much for coming. Anyone else needs, well, Madam Chair,
Wow.
I know.
Okay,
I'd like to
Okay.
I'd like to make a recommendation. I am afraid that this is going to get extremely confusing.
It is already.
I would recommend that we table this and get a new staff report with the correct documents, the correct addresses, the correct parcel numbers, and a correct map. I just do not feel comfortable putting this on verbal the way we're doing this.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Do I get to second? Because that's my
That's
recommendation.
perfectly fine with us.
This is,
Clarify to those ladies that we're trying to make it clean.
yeah. So,
I mean, if they want to pull it and bring it next week, I don't think we need to vote on it. If you want to pull it, it was you brought it
We'll
forward.
just pull it, and we'll
Yeah.
bring it back next time.
yeah.
I would feel much more comfortable with
yeah.
that. Thank you.
And again, we apologize, but, I mean, Mr. Chester signed as the owner on the application. So up until Friday afternoon, this thing was full go.
Except here it is Wednesday, so Monday or Tuesday, this should have been updated, this shouldn't have been given to us today, the way it's written. It's not even correct. Anyway. Mr. Bollinger?
Kathleen, when I talked to Mr. Chester about it, the only two that were talked about were those two properties. I had looked at them, but I hadn't realized that the 205 was one of his properties, and he didn't mention that it was one of his properties, and so that was just a small oversight that we did. We apologize for any inconvenience, but
Mr. Bollinger?
I just want to make sure that the ladies that are here representing lots 10 and 11, I think everyone on the board is in agreement we want to make this correct for you.
Yes.
What we don't want to do is confuse it by having this other extraneous stuff that has been very confusing. So as soon as this is cleaned up and cleared up, I think it will probably be unanimous that, we want to make sure we get you corrected so that the questions that are being brought up and discussed are not about the two lots that were originally brought. It's the rest of this stuff that was brought in with it.
Right. So we're not voting on anything today, just so you understand that. You're going to need to come, you've got to be on mic. I'm sorry, if you could come up front and ask your question. Sorry, but being that this is televised, it's just important.
I just wanted to know what we were looking at time-wise, because I've got some things that I'm doing with this property for the state, and I need it for beds, so that's what
So our next meeting is August the 2nd.
August the 2nd?
Yes, ma'am,
2 weeks.
in 2 weeks.
Okay.
How does that impact your timeline?
The state is waiting for me to open up those particular beds for foster youth, and that's why I didn't realize this was going to be an issue. I just thought I was going to go get the zoning and certificate of occupancy and be done with it, and so I'm already 3 months behind. And it's costing me $1,200 each month that this doesn't get done, so.
And I hate that, but by the same token, August 2nd is our next meeting. And then it goes to city council.
council.
So this won't be resolved for you August 2nd.
Second, okay.
Because we are the first step in this process, because then it has to go to city council.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay,
And we do need a motion and a second and
to table it. So do I hear a motion to table this for our next?
So
meeting?
move.
Mr. Reese, and a second? Okay, pick whoever you want on the minutes. All in favor, please raise your right hand to table this, guys. All those opposed? Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4 in favor to table it and 1 opposed. Okay, we do not have, no, you weren't. No, I'm sorry, I'm not looking at you. No, I know you were in favor. So we do not have any other cases to bring before us. I do want to make one request. When City Manager Hughley came before us, and he had said that we would be getting updates on our cases as to how they, the decisions that were rendered through City Council. We haven't gotten any of those, so I don't know if there's none to update us on.
in the past, I think the past 2 weeks, there hasn't been anything. The 10 cases that you had come before you are just now getting finished up
Okay.
at council. So I can update those, and then we'll update that on
And send an email out or
SharePoint.
Okay. If
and
you'll,
it'll
just
be
I
up
just
on
wanted to
SharePoint.
ask that because I know sometimes the timing seems longer than it actually is and whatnot, so I just wanted to ask about that. Anything else amongst the commissioners? I do want to remind you that we have our next meeting August 2nd, and that there is the Georgia Association of Planners,
Georgia APA, Georgia
APA, is holding
American
their-
Planning Association.
Yeah, so they are holding a summer conference in Columbus, September 27th and 29th, and I imagine you'll probably get more information out to us on that, or
They
is it
are-
just a point of interest?
APA's moving a little slow, APA. So whenever they get us a save the date thing or mail us
You'll let
something
us
out,
know?
we'll let you know. But these are the dates that they're going to be.
Okay,
And we're more than happy to send anybody who wants to go. And it'll be here for 2-3 days, so.
okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right, we are adjourned.